Perhaps it's an advantage to me that I took a bit of a break in covering Deepwater. I started with the teaser trailer, whatever it was, and between then and now, it's been about like a month or so, maybe a little longer than that. But I did take a bit of a break, and I'm finally getting back on board. And I will say I think the break helped. Not that I was anticipating on taking a break, because again, even to this point, the project itself is still vague to me. I haven't read the book that this is based on, Deepwater. I believe it might go by a different name. I don't remember exactly, but it is based on a romance novel. I haven't read the piece. I'm generally kind of aware again of the overall premise to it. Again, the movie, and I'm assuming it's going to be a faithful adaptation, or at the very least some of the humor, that possibility, it sounded very inviting. Although I do have my considerations. Again, I like psychological thrillers, and ones with a romantic twist especially, but some of the content with this, as I stated before, dissuaded me perhaps on the extent that it could go. But there are still, promising elements. Again, it's a psychological thriller and with the romantic component, and that easily entices me. Ana de Armas is a big name right now, and she's a pretty good actress. Ben Affleck, who I've loved largely of his work of DC, and some of the other comic book stuff, that's mostly how I've seen him. He's in this, huge fan. But in the time between, I've grown at least in my familiarity to more mainstream psychological romance movies rather than just some of the standard TV ones that I've seen. Notably of the Mar Vista Entertainment Company. I've covered quite a bunch, and that's generally, and those have been, they're much lower scale because they are TV films, and there's some films that are the greatest. That genre is, even if perhaps not to the level that this will go, it is of interest to me generally. But ever since I started covering this, I've now seen a mainstream psychological thriller, one that obviously did very well, Gone Girl. You can thank the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial for that. Because, if you've been watching that case, not to go on a bit of a tangent, but that did integrate with at least some of her very adjacent allegations. So in the context of that case, which I've been following meticulously, I realized, I hadn't seen Gone Girl, and I was on Tubi one night. It was up there for free. I don't think it is anymore. I think it's on Amazon, actually, for their free, whatever they call it. Their Amazon has something, but I know they changed the name from whatever it used to be. But I've since gone and watched the film. And Ben Affleck, though again, actually both of the films are very similar in that I do tend to prefer cleaner presentations, and the sounds of this movie might go to the extent of where that one went. It had some pretty risque material, but overall, in context to the thriller and the acting, I've never seen Rosamund Pike before, but she is incredible in the role. But watching a mainstream caliber psychological thriller within the romantic context, it was just such an enthralling experience, and Gone Girl is such a well-structured story. Ben Affleck gave an amazing performance. So I'm genuinely interested, at least on that level, from what I've seen of his work now with Gone Girl, and broaden my horizons beyond just Batman, and some of his other roles as well within the comic book sphere. I know he's been revered for a long time. I'm excited to see what he brings to this role, perhaps, if I do choose to watch it. Although, as I stated previously, IMDb has labeled this movie in its tags as erotica, which doesn't sound very clean to me. I don't know what I'm exactly in for, the presentation of the movie. I thought the teaser, it was kind of awkward. I feel like I'm sitting on a moment watching where you expect people in normal life to be like, you two are getting kind of personal here. I'd rather, just take the bus and go. But at the very least, I'm willing to humor the possibility that it's a good film. Again, it's coming out, I believe, is in part... I know it's streaming on Hulu as an exclusive for them. I believe it comes out from Searchlight Pictures, which is a 20th Century Fox, or Studios picture now. But Searchlight films tend to be more of a higher caliber, it seems, and maybe some other films are released as part of the studio. Just Searchlight Pictures has that branding power. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the trailer for this. We're going to get a better look at Deepwater than we did, a more extensive look beyond that first teaser. But again, going into this, I'm actually happy that I took the break because it gives me at least some more familiarity going into a more mainstream-esque film. Here we go. Although, will it raise the reputation that a lot of romance pictures based on novels have carried with them? I'm thinking of entries like 50 Shades of Grey, 365 Days. There's been more than that.
Why is Mom so different around other people?
I think this is who she is.
Again, I like the psychological approach. I wouldn't recommend
Of course.
the decisions here on part of the couple.
You're
not born.
Because so there is a sanctity in the marriage vow between two
The fact
people.
that she's comfortable flaunting all these relationships around all of us. You're better than that.
She's different. That's what I like about her.
I just want to feel joy in my life.
You want to tell me why you didn't come home last night?
Not really.
This isn't a game, Melinda.
It's always been a game.
I like the ooh. This feels very ominously. I like that.
If you were married to anyone else, you'd be so bored. You'd kill yourself.
Well, we'll see. Again, like I said, I prefer cleaner presentations, but the more ominous edge to the story does bring me in.
Do you think we'll ever be just happy?
God, I hope so.
You hope so, but I think we're kind of going down the line of no. I mean, well, you basically, if I remember the story right in terms of the pitch, you did open up your marriage. Which does pose, well, I think it's different than the way they term open marriage, specifically, again, in the context of a story. There's a deviation here. I mean, I will commend the film for at least presenting that the husband character has not lost that romantic interest. Like, he clearly still loves her. And Ben Affleck, both characters, I think, in the acting roles, I think they're fine, performance-wise. But you can see that he clearly still has feelings for her. He wants to keep the relationship maintained, but he makes sacrifices in order to do that. So again, it's not essentially like an open... Well, basically it is. It's basically kind of the same setup as an open marriage, where she's just, going around willy-nilly. It's like the Will Smith model, sounds of it, with his wife. But, well, maybe not to this, thrilling extent of where this will go, but at the very least, it comes off that way. Woman's going around having affairs with whoever willy-nilly, and however many times in a week or whatever, and you've got the husband who's still playing marriage, essentially trying to keep that alive, and it's just not being reciprocated. Any relationship like that is just bound to have trouble. At some point, you wouldn't fault him in any way. I mean, if, again, he weren't endorsing this, you wouldn't fault, or if she were going out and having affairs, as far as I believe, I come from a Christian angle, and I think what the Bible says specifically in terms of marriage, right? I would think there would be enough legitimacy for, a husband, or if it were, the other way around, I think there'd be enough legitimacy for that person to leave. I think there is a place for that. The presentation itself, again, I like the mystery thriller angle in terms of what perhaps happens with her other suitors. I'm just kind of like, how far is that going to go? And you can kind of guess from the trailer where certain scenes might go in regard to their restraint or lack thereof. I hope for a good picture. Again, like I said, it's the same thing with Gone Girl, which was overwhelmingly risque at some points. Like, there were a couple of shots, like, I didn't really need to see that. I could have just guessed that was happening. But the overall plot and the mystery surrounding that film was just so enticing and engrossing, like, from the minute it rolled over. And especially because of the acting. I mean, Rosamund Pike in that film is just captivating. Ben Affleck, the same. Here, I think it might match in that level. I'm just, a bit concerned with the story details. I mean, again, I can look at this from the realm that it's fiction. We'll just see. We'll see how far it goes. I'm going to watch a featurette as well in a separate video to get a better background, perhaps, on the book and the film itself. Because, again, I'm coming out of this from not being knowledgeable in the source material, but this film is re-envisioning. What are your guys' thoughts of Deep Water? Do you think, it's an enticing movie? Or perhaps maybe some content concerns like me? Again, I like the thriller edge. I'm just thinking it's a romance movie, and IMDb did label this as erotica, so that has me a bit concerned. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. But I mean, generally, I hope for a good thrilling picture. I just hope that it remains at least somewhat decent. I mean, if we get a larger audience that way, I would think, including for people like me who prefer a cleaner presentation. We'll see how far the film goes. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.